Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm hoping to say something that is going to cause you to think. And not just think, but react, move, do something. The world that we are sitting in right now is so different that sometimes we need a pep talk to keep us in check. Sometimes we need that reality check to cause us to do what we need to be doing, to move, to react, to respond. Okay? And it's not for us to respond in fear. I'm not trying to get you all afraid in this video, but I definitely want to get your attention. I want to say something that's going to help you to see just how serious the times are. Now, I want to focus around winter, the season, for a particular reason. And right away when I say that, some of you probably already know where I'm coming from. Winter, that is a season of death. That's when everything in and around the world, or during the winter season, that's when everything dies. Okay? Of course, let me just clarify, not everything, right? But things in nature that were slated to die during this season, they die. We're talking about certain bugs. We're talking about the leaves on the trees, the flowers, the grass, and just so much in nature. Nature is, pretty much what's natural, what is, already existing, what was put out here by the Creator, and nature knows what to do. Nature doesn't need our input for the most part. Okay, so winter is that season to where death occurs in nature. And even as human beings, if you don't make the right preparations during the winter season, you yourself can be in a situation that is dire to your existence. So preparation for winter is not just a physical thing, but it's a mental thing. I want to talk about both. Okay? I want to talk about both because of the current economic situation we're in, where we are seeing food shortages, we are seeing chaos, we are seeing distress of nations, a perplexity of mind of the people. You have some time before winter arrives. And within this time, you need to make some determinations on what you are going to do for your life, for your family, for your situation. I think in a separate video, I want to throw some ideas out there that I'm going to mention right now. In terms of living, I've been seeing a lot of people downsizing tremendously, especially if there's, a situation where it's a small family, empty nesters, just a single man or a single woman, or just a couple with no children or adult children. I've been seeing a lot of downsizing, and it's a very strategic thing that people are doing. Very strategic, right? Their strategy is to survive. And with the winter season coming, to me, I don't understand why there are some people who are still just not getting it. A lot of people just ain't getting it, y'all. Of course, I've talked many times about just simply walking away, shaking the dust off your feet and leaving people behind, because you can't force people to do stuff. You can't force anyone to help their own self or their own situation. But what you can do is protect what you are doing. What you can do is protect your own peace and shalom. Because sometimes you can worry yourself silly. Worry yourself out of your mind, thinking about what this person is going to do or what that person is going to do. And you have been sounding the alarm to them, and they are looking at you like you are crazy. I mean, we've shared many times how we've said to people, about growing your own food, raising your own meat, and doing things like that. Even if you can't raise your own meat, but you can grow your own food or do whatever, right? Or even unifying with others. We have literally talked to people who said, for what? Their response was, for what? Just go to the grocery store. Now, of course, this was all before all of this pandemic stuff happened. It was before all of that. But a lot of people, even with this, their mindset still has not changed. They still don't see the need for fortifying your mind and your life to do something to where you won't be caught or stuck when the crap fully hits the fan. Well, because right now what we're seeing with the crap hitting the fan is, it's coming in increments. You're getting that forewarning. You know what I mean? You're getting time to react and time to do things. But even with that, there are still those who are not taking life serious. And when you know people or are surrounded by people or are involved with people who are not taking stuff serious and life has presented itself in a serious way, like I said, you got to walk away. You cannot tarry. You cannot waste your time trying to get through to somebody who doesn't want to be reached. Keep it moving. Shake the dust off. Now let me get back to winter. Winter is a dead season. A lot of stuff dies. I'm not saying that it's impossible to grow food in the wintertime, but the bounty that you can get in the spring and summer and fall is quite different. Trust me, it is quite different. So with winter being a dead season, you got to know that there's a spiritual application for that. You got to know that it's not just a natural thing that's happening, but there is something very spiritual about the seasons. Of course, we know that spring represents new beginnings, new life that springs forth from where? Out of the dead of winter. Once death, that season of death has passed, then new life springs forth. Now, there was talk about some stuff that Biden was saying in reference to winter. This winter is going to be a trip. You see, let me see if I can pull it up. Biden concerning winter. I'm not trying to get off into him at all, but you sometimes wonder about these messages that they put out here. Okay, it says Joe Biden warned of a dark winter. Of a very dark winter, one article says. And so it kind of makes you wonder. Of course, that was something that was said some time ago. But even now they're talking about the season of the virus is going to be increased. So if that is the case, they are forewarning and letting you know that there is going to be an increase in death as well. And we're not just talking about the trees and all of that kind of stuff. We're not just talking about the flowers and the grass. We're talking about people. They keep sending these messages that this, that, and the third is going to happen. Now, they have no way to prophesy anything. They have no foreknowledge of anything, but they are forecasting. They're saying all of this stuff that is going to happen. They're giving you the expected number of deaths that are going to occur. Very interesting. Interesting indeed. But see, this is why it's very important that folk wake up and pay attention and do what it is you have to do. Many times you all hear me speak and I will say something in regards to fortifying relationships or fixing broken relationships. Some of you have reached the point of no return with relationships that you have destroyed. And so all I can say is, hey, you got to keep it moving in either direction, regardless to whether you were the one who destroyed the relationship or you were the one who were a part of a relationship that was destroyed by someone else. In either direction, you got to do what you have to do to improve your situation. Even if you can't fix those relationships. Now, I'm not saying not to try anymore, especially if you are the person, if you're the person who destroyed the relationship and you find yourself needing these people that you've burned or blew up these bridges with, you are in a tough situation. You're in a tough situation because that means you can't cross that bridge no more. And so you got to understand that there's a reaping what you sow process. When you've destroyed relationships and now you find that you need people that you've destroyed relationships with, you are in a tough situation. You are in a bind. Especially when we look at the world right now. Oh my goodness. I'm not trying to cause nobody to fear. I'm trying to cause you to think and shift your focus to where it needs to be. But because of the way this world is right now, we're not just looking at one disaster. We're not just looking at one situation or one issue. There are a number of issues to be looked at and to consider. There are a number of issues. We're not just talking about this pandemic and all of this other stuff that's happening. We are talking about natural things that are occurring as well. And with these natural things, we're looking at some very, very diabolical things that are going on behind the scenes. Like, why are the food shortages coming at this moment? And with the food shortages, why are we seeing situations? Someone shared a video with me a few days ago where there was a market that had all of this fresh produce, and they were destroying this produce in droves, knowing that there are people who could benefit from that food. So something is happening, y'all. Something is going on. Winter is coming. Winter is the season of death. And so this is why we got to stay prayed up. You know how they say stay prayed up, meaning praying constantly for one another, warning one another. Because some people are not preparing. And for those who make no preparations, they are going to be in a tough cookie. They're going to be in a tough bind. But you don't have time to browbeat people with the truth or what's happening in the world. If people still want to play games and play around, you can't force information on anyone. They can either take it or leave it. But you can't put yourself at risk for those who think life is a game. You just can't do it. I know there are those who think that you're supposed to sit back and try to drag people along. Let me tell y'all something. The number of stories, and I know of people personally, I know of individuals personally who have stuck their necks out to help others and lost their own life. There are people who will literally stick their own neck out there and lose their life trying to help somebody who don't want to be helped, or somebody who can't be helped, or somebody who is perfectly willing to drag you down. Y'all hear what I'm saying to you, family? Hear what I'm saying to you. Winter is coming. Winter is the season of death. Okay? The time to prepare for winter is now. I'm going to close out with this very short story. I'm going to summarize it as quickly as I can. It's a kid story. Used to be one of my favorites. But in this story is a story of mice, right? There was one mouse who was, throughout the summer, preparing. She was gathering all that she needed for the winter because she knew winter was coming. And as she gathered, as she stored up, the other mice looked at her. They were laughing at her, mocking her, scorning her. Kind of reminds me of the story of Noah too, y'all. But they were pointing and laughing and just making fun of her like she's just wasting her time. Look at her. We out here having fun and she's doing all of this other stuff. This mouse ignored them. She let them laugh and point and snicker and do all of this other foolishness. And she knew the season was getting further and further ahead. Fall came. She continued to work through the fall. Leaves started coming off the trees. She kept working. They kept laughing and playing and wasting time. Make a long story short, playtime was over. When that snow started to fall, those mice who was playing all summer long, all fall long, all of the laughter stopped. At first, initially, when they saw the snow, they thought it was just another thing that they can do and play and just have a good time, right? But then it started getting too cold for them to play and take that snow lightly. Now, thankfully, in this story, you have that mouse who took pity on them. She said, okay, they didn't prepare. They didn't do this. They didn't do that. So I'm going to help them out. But in real life, that's just a kid story, y'all. In real life, there are people, and there's a biblical meaning or story behind this too. If you play, if you waste time, you just might find yourself in a bind. Because there are those who will say, you know what? Let me give you a good example of a story of that. The 5 wise and the 5 foolish virgins. When those 5 foolish virgins came to the 5 wise and said, give us some of your oil because our lamps are about to go out. The 5 wise virgins said, not so. You better go to those who buy and who sell, because you didn't have enough oil. I'm not giving you, because it ain't going to be enough for me if I give you some of my oil. That is a lesson to be learned, family. Don't assume that in this world there's going to be a government program to help. Don't assume that family and friends will help. Don't assume that neighbors will help. Don't assume that anyone will help. That's the story that's what I get from the 5 wise and 5 foolish virgins. None of us can afford to assume that there will be help in a time of need. My husband and I made that mistake before, and we said never again. Never again. Now, I want y'all to understand where I'm coming from. I'm trying to make a point here. I'm trying to make a point that do all that you can and don't play like those other mice did. Don't play like the 5 foolish virgins. Of course, I'm not saying to those of you who can help someone, who can be of assistance to someone, I'm not saying to you not to help. I'm trying to make a bigger point here. That you don't want to be one of those who play your life away and you look up and find out that there is no help around. That's the point I'm trying to make. Because too many times we see and hear where people think life is a game. They don't take it serious. But then when things begin to happen, they find themselves out here robbing someone else or hurting someone else to take from them because they didn't prepare. I'm saying, y'all, that life is serious right now. It's time to pay attention. It's time to understand and look at the handwriting on the wall. Life as we know it has changed. Get out of the lazy mindset of thinking that somebody has to do anything for you, because people are changing. People are getting to the point where they don't want to be bothered. People are getting to the point where they don't want to take the risk with dealing with people that they don't know, or even people that they do know. And with all of that information in mind, with that being said, this right now, today, is the time to do what it is that you must do for yourself. Because we don't know what tomorrow holds. We don't know what the situation may be concerning all of this chaos in the world. Again, I'm not trying to cause you to fear. I'm trying to get you to redirect your focus to where it should be. Understand that people have changed. The scripture says, because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. So you might ask a family member or a friend or a neighbor for help. And they might say, you know what? I don't have help. I can barely see my own way clear. Or I only have enough for me and my family. You may have people who will say that. And so instead of being disappointed in the future about what someone may say in the future, prepare for that moment now by being one of those who will fortify your life. And like I said, I may do a separate video on throwing some ideas out there for those of you who are finding yourself discouraged and worried about what your next move is. I may do a separate video on that. But anyway, I want to know what your thoughts are in the comment section below on what I've just said in this video. It's time to take things serious and redirect your focus, family. I love you all, and I thank you for taking the time to listen. And until next time. We hope you liked today's topic. Please leave your comments below. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, share it like this video, and with that, we're out. Be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new uploads on this channel, and also comment, share, like, and subscribe.